anyone else feel like they're just clocking out for the end of the year? Got a few more video projects to complete, and the one thing that's getting me through all of them is coffee. I've not consumed this much caffeine, I don't think ever, but it is working wonders. But as we wrap the year up, got a few more videos to complete, but one video that I'm really excited about is the one you're watching right now. It is officially my first collaboration with Canon ANZ, and I'm here to review the Canon RF 85mm f2 macro lens. Now, before the video begins, I want to say that I'm not being paid to say anything. These opinions are all my own. They simply sent me this lens over to review. I'm going to show you how you can utilize it for not only street photography, but Lego photography as well. So let's get into it. So the 85mm interested me because usually I shoot on the 28-70, which is what I'm shooting on right now. And I find myself zooming into 50 and 70 mils for most of my Lego photos because technically that's classified as a telephoto lens. It creates a really nice compressed shot and makes small things look lifelike. Or in this case, it makes Lego figures look lifelike, which is, perfect for my niche. When I got my hands on the 85mm, I was really excited to test this out and see what I could do, especially with a prime lens, because prime lenses primarily create for really nice sharp images because it's not going between focal ranges, it is fixed on one focal range, so less glass, and also is just said to create really sharp images, which I was able to see right off the bat with some of these images. And one of the best features of this lens by far is the macro close-up focus, because I was able to get extremely close to my Lego figures and still maintain focus, which was really, really awesome to try out. None of my other lenses have this feature without, taking a wide shot and then cropping in post-production. So it's really cool to use a lens where I could properly get close to my figures this time. But before we dive into that, let's go over the basics. First, the build quality. I think it's very solid. It feels premium, even though it's on the cheaper end of the RF lenses range. The focus ring is nice and smooth, has a nice little clicky feel to it. It feels premium. It feels like a solid lens, which is really cool. It doesn't feel cheap at all. And paired with the Canon R8, it's a nice combination that's quite light and works well. Now, usually when I do Lego photography, I'll usually shoot in a way that keeps the background recognizable. But because this is a telephoto lens and it compresses a lot of that image, I was able to shoot in a unique way where it made the background look nice and creamy. I was able to get some nice shots where there was like bokeh in the background, and it was really fun to shoot in a new way. And if I need to, I can open up the aperture and show more of the background, like for example this image here with the sky tower. I was able to shoot two separate images and you can just see the difference. Now, the first tip when it comes to Lego photography is you want to shoot at eye level, because it is probably one of the most natural compositions you can set up for a Lego figure, because you almost got to treat it like it's a film. When you watch movies or TV shows or even look at photographs, it's taken from the perspective of a real person. When they're photographing a person, they're usually at eye level or a little bit lower, and it appears natural because, that's how you would photograph a regular human being. You got to treat Lego figures like human beings. You got to get to their level, so then you're basically in their world. You wouldn't try to shoot at a high angle for a person from like a really far distance. So why would you do it for a Lego figure, Yes, there are rare cases where you do that for people, but for the most part, you want to act like you're in their world, from their angles, from their perspective, so then you can make an image that looks like the viewer belongs in their world, if that makes sense. So shooting at eye level, really important for selling a good Lego image. And of course, don't be afraid to experiment with the rule of thirds when shooting these images. Have the Lego figures off to the left, to the right, and also in the center. It works super well in creating nice dynamic shots that you would see in, cinematic films. Now, right off the bat, I was able to notice that this lens was really struggling when I set up a Lego figure right in front of it, and it really struggled to nail focus. Now, the alternative to this was switching the autofocus to manual focus, then turning that ring until I was able to focus on the figure. Once I had done that, I switched it back to autofocus, and then from there it was perfect. It would focus straight onto the figure every single time. So there is a little bit inconvenience there where you're having to switch from autofocus to manual focus and then back to autofocus, but as soon as you get it locked on, it is locked on. It does so well, especially especially during low light. I was very shocked at how well this lens was able to focus on characters where there was barely any light whatsoever. And I would argue that this lens was able to focus on my characters a lot better than my 28-70. And I think that comes down to also the 0.5 macro close focus, which is just a dream to work with when it comes to LEGO photography. I was able to get a lot closer to my figures than I usually do. It's also got a really cool feature where you can set the focus distance, and it works extremely well because obviously when I'm shooting LEGO figures, I'm not shooting them from miles and miles away. I'm shooting them right in front of me. So by narrowing down how far this lens is supposed to focus, it works extremely well in nailing focus on the LEGO figure every single time. So huge plus on the autofocus feature, although yes, it takes a little bit of time to set that initial focus onto the LEGO figure. But when it came to the usual street photography, it did a fantastic job. I was able to get some really nice sharp photos of just, various things around the city, trying to look at architecture and also, things that, caught my eye. Really nice crisp photos, and it was able to focus super quick, so huge plus on street photography. Now, if you're ever doing LEGO photography in the city, I think the best piece of advice I could give to you is learning to train your eyes. Now, this applies to street photography as well, because when you're in the city, you have big buildings, you have heaps of people walking around, you have all these things going on at once, and it sometimes can be quite overwhelming to go, okay, I'm gonna try to take a photo of this or that, and you miss, key moments. It's learning to train your eye into seeing the unique things within the city. For example, this photo of Batman, I noticed that if I was to place him here, I could get a really nice overhead shot where it's looking over the city, and it worked perfectly for this. And another tip for LEGO photography, always carry blue tack in your hand, because I would have not been able to balance them on here without blue tack, and I just removed the blue tack later on in Photoshop because it was kind of windy that day and it really came in clutch for some really cool images here. So training your eye to find perspectives is really important. And then next, thinking about how you could place your LEGO figure in the city where it looks cool. Like this part here, I saw that there was a little ledge to this building, and underneath that was a light, so I was like, it's creating a really cool shadow. I'm gonna put Joker here and see what I could do, and it created for a really nice dramatic shot where it was just able to paint his face, which is just perfect for a character like this. Yeah, it's just trying to find unique parts of the city that could work well with LEGO figures. Another big thing to look for is reflections. Now, I was able to find this nice little alleyway where it had neon lights above and, cars driving past and everything. I took Two-Face to this location and I was able to get these nice macro shots of really cool reflections with some really cool lighting as well. It almost looks like there's police lights in the background, and it looks so epic for this character. And because there was water dripping down in this specific spot, it created for some really nice, really interesting reflections. So if you can find reflections in the city, take photos of them. You can get some really unique photos. I started getting some high angle shots as well. But using that rule of thirds, it still makes the image look natural and appealing. And because there was blue and red lights, it was able to reflect on the water and create these almost like lava puddles that looked really, really interesting. There was barely any light throughout this alleyway. It was just lit up by neon lights, which isn't the brightest light in the world. This lens was able to focus so well on this character. So that was really impressive to see. And another cool thing I love about LEGO photography is you can highlight unique textures and shadows because you are working almost at a macro scale, which is perfect for this lens. One of my favorite images is Batman here, and I was able to pose him in a way that you can see that shadow with his ears and get a really nice texture on the ground as well. So this is one of my favorite images simply because I'm shooting at a macro scale and using the shadow to kind of paint the picture of who this character is, and putting it in black and white is always really, really fun. So stabilization on this lens is amazing. I accidentally switched it off halfway through my shoot without me realizing, but you can just see the difference between stabilization on and stabilization off, and yeah, it does a phenomenal job. Also, I think this is the sharpest LEGO photos I've ever captured, and it's just apparent that this prime lens is just really doing its job of creating for some sharp images. So I honestly might consider getting an 85mm simply because of just how reliable it is. So yeah, the low light performance on this is incredible. It sounds like I'm glazing this lens, but it really does a great job. My only complaint complaint about this lens is trying to nail focus at first on the Lego figure when it's really close. And obviously I've talked about how to combat that, but it does sometimes take a little bit of time to do so, and I missed some like crucial moments because of it. Like there was a car driving past that had like underglow, and I was trying to nail focus on the character so then I could get that underglow like next to the character and everything, but I missed that opportunity because I was too busy trying to figure out how to focus on the character. But once you set up, you know, the autofocus to manual focus, pull focus, and then switch it back to autofocus, that makes sense, right? Then you're locked on. You're locked on really, really well. The other con about this is going from a subject that's really close to then going quite far. The autofocus does take a while to switch between those. Had no problems videoing. I think I've shot some really nice video, but again, if you're trying to focus on something that's really close and then shooting far away, it does take a time to do so. So that's something to keep in mind. So the final verdict, I would say this is really good for street photography for sure. I mean, it's going to get your creative brain thinking because you have to set up the composition yourself. You have to move around. It's a good mid-range focal length. It's not too far and it's not too wide either. So you're able to get some really cool images. And of course, because it's a prime lens, you're able to get some really sharp images. For Lego photography, I'm honestly considering getting an 85mm. The macro work is incredible. I'm able to get really close, and the autofocus is just incredible when you're locked on. So this 85mm, I'm very much considering buying for sure. As far as video goes, I would probably only recommend this for very specific shoots. I would probably use this for maybe shooting like something like jewelry or shooting Lego figures in a really cinematic way, but other than that, I don't see myself using an 85mm for a lot of video, but definitely for photo for sure. But yeah, that was my review of the 85mm. I haven't done many reviews like this before, so please forgive me if it seems a little bit choppy. I'm not being biased towards Canon, I'm simply reviewing this as it is. It's a very good lens, I can't recommend it enough. It would fit my own needs, but whether or not it fits your needs, that's up to you. So thank you very much to Canon for sending this lens out. And also please, if you've made it to the end of this video, please let me know what you think of the images I shot. I was pretty happy to get some cool dynamic shots with this lens, both street photography and Lego photography. In the future, you might see me with this lens a lot more often. I think I might have to pick it up for myself. So I guess until then, I'll see you in the next video. Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And yeah, see you then. Goodbye.